Pressure says, work faster. Achieve more. Don't fail. Don't fall behind. And the strange thing is, we listen. Not because we want to, but because we've been conditioned to. Conditioned to believe that external expectations are somehow more important than our internal truth. We wake up every day stepping into a world that measures us by speed, by output, by comparison. But none of those things actually define who we are. They only define the pressure that surrounds us. Pressure makes us chase goals we don't even believe in, just because others say they matter. Think about that. How many times have you found yourself working towards something, not because it inspires you, not because it aligns with your values, but because someone else said it was important? A boss, a family member, society, social media. It's almost as if the world hands us a checklist of what success should look like, and without questioning it, we start checking off boxes that were never ours to begin with. We forget the most important truth. Pressure comes from the outside, but purpose comes from the inside. And when we let the outside dominate, we lose our sense of direction. We trade meaning for validation. We trade joy for approval. We trade ourselves for the illusion of being enough. The problem is not that pressure exists. Pressure will always exist. The real problem begins when we start mistaking pressure for purpose. When we start believing that the demands placed upon us from the outside world somehow determine what our life should look like on the inside. Every day, people wake up and immediately feel like they're behind. Behind on their goals. Behind on their career. Behind on the timeline that the world has created. The moment they open their eyes, they're already in a race they didn't sign up for. A race with no finish line. A race where no matter how hard they run, the pressure keeps whispering, not enough. Not yet. Not you. It's exhausting. And it's silent. And that's why it's dangerous. Because pressure doesn't always show up loudly. Sometimes it shows up as comparison. Sometimes it shows up as guilt. Sometimes it shows up as fear. Fear of disappointing others. Fear of being judged. Fear of not being who people expect you to be. But here's the thing most people never realize. Pressure becomes powerful only when we give it authority. Only when we allow another person's opinion to become our obligation. Only when we allow someone else's timeline to dictate our pace. Only when we allow the world's expectations to override our own intuition. Because the truth is, nobody wakes up with pressure built into their soul. We're born with curiosity, with creativity, with wonder, with a natural desire to grow, yes, but not to chase. Not to compete, not to outrun each other. Those things are taught. Those things are imposed. Those things come from the outside. Somewhere along the way, we stopped listening to ourselves. We stopped trusting the quiet voice inside, the one that knows what actually matters. Instead, we tuned into the noise around us. Noise that tells us what success should look like. Noise that tells us who we should be by a certain age. Noise that turns life into a constant performance. And when life becomes a performance, pressure becomes the director. Imagine if we lived in a world where people pursued what they truly cared about. Not what they were told to care about. Imagine a world where people chose paths aligned with who they are, instead of paths that simply look good to others. Imagine a world where progress mattered more than perfection, and where fulfillment mattered more than applause. That world is possible, but it begins with one shift, learning to separate pressure from purpose. Pressure demands. Purpose invites. Pressure shouts. Purpose whispers. Pressure pushes you. Purpose guides you. Pressure says, hurry. Purpose says, grow. Pressure is about what others expect from you. Purpose is about what you expect from yourself. And if we're being honest, most people don't struggle because they have too little time, talent, or opportunity. They struggle because they spend their life trying to satisfy expectations that were never meant for them. They spend their energy trying to win games they don't even want to play. Think about how many students pick a field of study because it's safe. Or how many professionals chase promotions not because it fulfills them, but because it's the next rung on the ladder. How many people buy things they don't need just because everyone else has them. How many dream quietly because they're scared that stepping outside the norm will invite criticism. Pressure makes us small. It shrinks our imagination. It convinces us that the only acceptable path is the one the world approves of. But purpose does the opposite. Purpose expands us. It gives us direction, clarity, and a sense of groundedness. It doesn't come from outside opinions. It comes from inner alignment. The moment we realize that pressure is external, something powerful happens. We stop taking it personally. We stop letting it define us. We stop confusing urgency with importance. And we begin listening to a different voice, the one that's been inside us all along. When you understand that pressure is an outside force, you stop letting it infiltrate your inside world. You stop letting it dictate your value. You stop letting it tell you who you should be. You start asking better questions. What actually matters to me? What brings me energy instead of draining it? What kind of person do I want to become, not for others, but for myself? And when you ask those questions, you begin rewriting your life from the inside out. Yes, people will still have opinions. Yes, society will still push. Yes, expectations will still exist. But they lose their grip on you. They lose their power over you. Because when you're connected to your purpose, pressure becomes background noise. It doesn't disappear, but it stops steering your life. The truth is, purpose doesn't eliminate pressure, it elevates you above it. When you know why you're doing something, you don't have to outrun pressure. You outgrow it. It no longer intimidates you. It no longer rushes you. It no longer controls you. You see it for what it is, a signal from the outside world, not a reflection of your inner worth. Everyone wants to feel fulfilled. Everyone wants to live a life that makes sense to them. But fulfillment doesn't come from meeting expectations. It comes from alignment. It comes from choosing what resonates with your values. It comes from living in a way that feels honest and true. Pressure makes you perform. Purpose makes you alive. One day, you will look back and realize that the moments you felt the most pressured were the moments you were the furthest from yourself. And you'll also realize that the moments you felt the most alive were the moments you listened to your own voice. The world will always try to tell you who to be. It will always push you toward speed, achievement, and comparison. But your life isn't meant to be lived from the outside in. It's meant to be lived from the inside out. Pressure comes from outside, but meaning, real meaning, comes from within. And when you remember that, you stop chasing life, and you start choosing it.